Hi guys, Owen here from Golfshake.com. I'm joined by Matt, European Tour Technician on Ping European Tour Truck. Matt's going to show us around now, give us a little bit of tour. Obviously, us as golfers don't get to see this very often, so it's super cool to be in here and have a little bit of access and see what these guys do on a day-to-day basis, and also see what the players see. So, over to you, Matt. Can you show us around?
Welcome aboard. Okay, so to start with, what we have the truck in sort of two very distinct sort of layouts. So we have a workshop, which is obviously our main priority down here, is to build clubs for players, repair stuff, make tweaks, changes, whatever that might be. But at the top end of the truck, we kind of have a bit of a sanctuary sort of area. So we have, as you come through the door straight away, we've got leather sofas, we've got a coffee machine, which was one of the biggest requests, interesting enough, when we was asked about the players, what would you like on the truck? Coffee machine was up there, okay? And then kettle, obviously refreshments, cold drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
We keep putters up this end, so the guys can naturally want to pick it up, like all golf's doing the walk-in pro shop, to pick up putters, have a little bit of feel and that kind of stuff. But generally, this is kind of an area to keep them relaxed. They can walk in, they can grab whatever hat they want to do for the week, so all this stuff is kept up there, so we don't need help getting the hat out. And then we have, up this end, in this cupboard, we have any hats where we have players' logos on. So
right, okay.
You'll have things like with GH for Greg Havray on the back, you'll have things with AS for Andy Sullivan, so we kind of keep them all out to this end. And obviously, again, Greg Havray, I think we've got some Westy ones in here, somewhere at the back.
Greg doesn't go through that cap.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. So we've got a Westwood hat there, so, and obviously with this Close House logo on. So we kind of have all this stuff up this end of the truck, simply because it means they can come in and grab what they want to grab, and just feel like nice and relaxed, you know. And that's the whole point of this environment, is just to kind of let them get away from media, if it's, you know, if they've had interviews and that kind of stuff, and just relax. Brilliant. So then as we work down this end, we've got almost like the command chair, which is basically,
it's a bit like the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, so this is where we steer the ship from. So this is where my boss Dominic, who is the fitter on tour, so he's the guy who's out on the range, he's the guy who's doing the stuff with the TrackMan, he's the man that does all that, he's the guy who decides really what we're going to build for a player. So this is where he sits, his laptop's here, so we can do any orders, that kind of stuff, and obviously he's the first face when the guys come in. Okay, so from this point then, you can see there's this natural kind of divide here, and then we've turned to very much a workshop area. Okay, so starting at this end, we have a bag which is just full of collections, so you'll see guys' names on there. So you've got Nico Geiger's backup, you've got Greg with a G400 Max head, you've got SSP, Matthew Pavon, Sully with a driver head on with a few specs on there. This is basically stuff that we built for a player, specifically for that player. And then we put it in there, it's like a collections bag, basically.
So they come in and collect that?
So then they might say, okay, I want to do a bit of work with the driver. We've built something, we go, oh, Nico, there you go, there's your driver, or whatever it might be. Okay, so this end, then as the kind of tools that we have at this end are tools that I can use, but also as well that Dominic can use. So things like gripping stations. Obviously a drip tray, and we have grip solution that comes out. We have a jaw that clamps clubs, so we can obviously clamp the club in the position after it's been taped. And again, we'll just clamp the club up, and if we need to, just give it a tweak to where it gets square, so we can do all of our work here. And again, if I'm snowed under at the end building stuff, Dominic can pop in and, you know, just do little bits like put a grip on for somebody or whatever. You know, nothing really too technical in that sense to...
How many grips do you feel like you change in a typical week?
Sometimes it's not so bad. We'll do like the odd little bit. Our guys, if I'm perfectly honest with you, don't go through a massive amount of grips. They're pretty good. But at the start of the season, my first event this year was Madrid, and the weather was terrible. So the guys were on the truck a lot, and everybody had their grips done. So it was a long shift. That, you know, you certainly get sick of the sight of tape and stuff. So probably one of the things that we always like to show people that we do at Ping, it's a little bit different normally to what the guys do. In other manufacturers, they kind of use the 2-inch tape, which obviously what most pro shops kind of use, and you run it down there and you obviously follow our issue with the 2-inch tape, or what we feel, or what Karsten felt in the early days, and you'll notice a lot of our stuff it's all our own gear. We don't buy stuff in, we like to develop our own stuff, but what we don't like to have, when we put the 2-inch tape on, okay, you are naturally going to get that small overlap, okay? So that small overlap will create a ridge. How much difference that ridge makes is probably negligible, but for us, it's something that we can improve on.
Attention to detail.
Exactly. So things like when we tape, if you've never seen it before, we're pretty accurate on the truck. So we'll start off, we'll move the club this spindle kind of spins, obviously, so we can move the club around, but we'll get the grip measurement, and I always work to the bottom line. I'll just put a little mark on there. Okay, if I haven't already pre-cut it, the double-sided tape, if it's just having one wrap, I'll then try and cut at an angle to try and match the tape, and obviously match the taper of the shaft, so that when I bind that round, I get no overlaps, but I get pretty tight gaps all the way up. So all we're trying to do there is just roll it on as tight as we possibly can, but with as minimal amount of overlaps. And just like there, it's just trying to get as neat a finish as we possibly can.
Yeah, you've made that look really easy. I've tried to, I've done this before. It's not that easy.
The guys in the factory are quick. They spin it really quick. So you kind of see them boys flicking it round. We're trying to really get it as accurate as we possibly can. And obviously we have different things like build-up tapes. So just basically just normal masking tape that we add thickness to grips. We don't really do a lot with mid-size grips. So we try to build up standard size grips.
So you tend to build up standard grips. And what's the, I mean, I don't know whether you built one for Bubba. What does he do with this?
I think Bubba's 15 layers under the bottom hand, and I think he's 13 or something like that, or 12 at the top hand.
Does he groan when he comes in? And
so it's like, this week
28 layers.
Yeah, I've just come back from the Open, and thankfully he didn't need anything. Thankfully didn't need anything changing, so that was a bit of a result. It says because even after the taping is done, then trying to stretch the grip that much. To get it on is not easy. So that's kind of tricky.
He'd be the most unique player, basically on tour. Probably.
Yeah, we've got a few other guys. Charlie Ford, he tends to have a bit more build-up, but he uses the black build-up tape, which is like 3 layers.
That's a bit thicker,
So it's a bit quicker than trying to do 6 layers of that. Suddenly, 2 layers of this, you're happy days. It's a little bit quicker. Then down here, basically, got simple rulers. We have 2 separate rulers, one for woods and one for irons. And the only difference, if you look and you get a close-up down the line there, you will see you've got 2 separate angles. So you've got a 58-degree angle, which is what the USGA state that the club length has been measured at. And with an iron, and obviously with a wood, we have a 60-degree angle. And again, it's what they state. So obviously angle and length and kind of stuff, it's just fixed. So we then know where we're going to mark. And obviously you can see on the ruler on here, we have the line, so lob wedge, sand wedge, pitching wedge, 9, 8, 7, obviously all the way up. So when we've got them lines, we can go up and down from there. Okay. Then down here, just a simple machine. It's just a ferruling belt. So when we build a club, the ferrules you can see on here, they're not always as smooth, so we have to belt them down, give them a whip with acetone, make them look a bit neater, and that kind of stuff.
Again, that's an easier, you make that sound easier, it's a bit of a skill.
It's just feel. Again, it's like getting used to how it goes round and how much you're taking off material-wise, that kind of stuff, just to make it look neat, really. Backup loft and line machine, so if you've ever seen it, I'll show you at the end where our loft and line machine is, but this is just a manual one, so we can obviously, if we have a situation where we can't use our digital one, we have the option to use this one as well. Then this is the main kind of building area, so this is where I do most of my stuff. So this is obviously where it's placed in the truck is at the opposite end to the players, so
far away as possible from them.
The noisy stuff, grinders, saws, glues, hot melt gun. These are basically it's a cooker effectively. So when we knock a shaft in, what we do is obviously to accelerate the process, we're trying to turn a drive around from getting an order in from literally raw products to hitting on the range in 15 minutes.
And normally when they build a club, say again, that'd be an overnight dry.
So
curing process.
They cure theirs in a heater as well, but it's going to take probably half an hour to go through that, to go through the curing process. So we have ours in here, gets clamped in, dead simple. It just passes electric current through, and we press the starter, and you've got a countdown timer on there. So it's coming out at 160 degrees, and it's going for 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, it's done, set. And that means that it's strong enough that I can take that straight out of there from that position and go and colour code it straight away. And it's strong enough to be, obviously if you've seen our colour coding before, and we'll show you, it's strong enough to go. So this is where I kind of, like I said, do all the building. So we've got things like air blowers to blow dust out. This stuff, if you're doing a reshaft, is just basically a belt just to Dremel out the head. Hot melt machine, which is basically, this is a hot melt, which as far as I'm aware is actually from like a packaging. It's like a sticky kind of glue that they use for sticking cardboard boxes together. This just gets heated up in here to some outrageous temperature, and it comes out, and we can then just add, like we do in the factory, add weight to the inside of a head.
Is that the same stuff they use to stop rattle? Like rattle
it's basically called rat glue.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff, but we found it was useful for the other stuff. So we obviously take a head out, and we can then just swing weight it in by putting the weight in there. So it just goes through that hole, the nozzle will go in. Okay, so it literally goes into there, and then I can just pump it in to the desired amount. That's probably one of the more skilled jobs to a certain degree, because you can't see how much you are putting in.
It's a bit of a golfer's dream, this.
Yeah, so these are the kind of nice draws that everyone likes to look at.
Yeah.
So obviously everything's laid out. It's a good measure of how well I've driven the truck. If they're all over the place, I've obviously driven a bit rough. So you can see all the.
I noticed they're all without their weights in. And
yeah, so they're literally as they come from the factory.
Yeah.
You know, so they're all ready to go. So we can just pull ahead when required. And then we have the wedge draw is always quite cool as well. So we've got our Glide 2.0 in various specs. You've got the thin sole ones there, wide sole, your standard sole ones here in various lofts, and obviously now we've got just been launched a new Glide Forged as well. So
and they proved really popular.
Yeah, we had a lot of guys switch really quickly, which was quite good. So
what's the normal process if you've got a new product coming on tour? How long does it take to switch a player into the new clubs generally?
It can depend. I mean, I always look at it and think people don't want to change unless they've got a problem, but we always pride ourselves on releasing a product that is better.
Yeah.
So we tell the player that we will find a benefit within this new product.
Yeah.
With the G400 driver especially, it was very easy because it was unbelievable and still is. When it comes to wedges and things like that and irons, it's quite tricky because it's stuff they're more of their tools is what I kind of like to put it across to people. If I give somebody a tool that they use every day and you give them a different version of it, it suddenly doesn't feel the same in the hand. So sometimes it can be tricky, but the proof of the pudding's in the eating.
So the scoring clubs are the hardest ones to switch
absolutely.
into,
But once they started to hit the forged wedge, then suddenly they were like, okay, this is golden. Tyrrell Hatton, the week of the US Open, switched all irons to 210 irons from 200 and switched into forged wedges
big
as
week
well.
To switch,
yeah, exactly. So he felt confident enough and then still finished 6th. So you would argue, okay, yeah, it was a good move. Definitely. Okay, so then down this end, like I said, we've obviously got the driver heads that you see. Another one draw that obviously people like to see and look in is basically the shaft drawers. So we've got things from Project X. Yeah. All the stuff is the handcrafted stamp on there. T1100 shaft, that's pretty rare. Yeah. That's Louis' shaft. You know, that's quite a popular shaft. Hazardous blacks, graphite design, Fujikura. That's all the new Fujikura's products. So yeah, you know, it's just filled with stuff that we require. Obviously the extortion stuff. So we've got extortion black, extortion green, the Rogues, Envy, the new Rogue stuff. So you know, it's whatever we need is there, and obviously player specific, whatever they find they like. You know, a lot of guys tend to get in a shaft that they like and very rarely come out of it. Yeah, you know,
they'll stick through different head models, will they?
Yeah, we might find we change Loft, or like for Brandon, the week that he won at Scotland, we changed him from, I'm pretty sure he was using an LS Tech driver at that point. Yeah. We tried maybe the standard head, and then we actually went to the Max, and the Max worked perfect, and he goes out and wins. You know, and he openly said, I changed driver this week, and I changed putter back to an old Answer style putter. Obviously going with the new Answer Dale, the Volt, and he ends up winning. There you go, you know. So, but interesting enough, he stuck with the same shaft. He didn't want to change shaft because he liked the way it felt, you know. So just things like that. And then we've got obviously grinding belts here. Yeah. So all this is just a machine that we've just got a Scotch-Brite belt. We can just take enough off there to kind of change bounce conditions. We did that quite a lot in the last few weeks because we had really firm conditions from Paris onwards. We was kind of finding that guys wanted the club to sit really tight. Yeah, and I suppose it's an extreme year. I mean, you're travelling from courses that are potentially quite soft. Yeah. In the winter, maybe. Well, I mean, I know you're not out in Asia, but guys that are using wedges out there to bring the wedges back, and then suddenly they're playing on absolutely,
conditions here in Europe.
I mean, it switched from one week to the next. I mean, although Germany was dry, the course was quite green and lush. Yeah. So you went from Germany at 1 week, the BMW International, to then went straight to Paris, and it's playing like Heathrow's main runway. You know, it was such a big change, and only 1 day apart from the Sunday to the Monday.
And how often do guys change the wedges? I know they stay in the same model, but how often will they change their wedges? Yeah, some guys do. Some guys, what's quite interesting as well is that when you get a really fresh set of wedges, the guys don't like to put them in straight away. They like to go away and hit a few shots to almost kind of what they call bedding them in a little bit, basically. They want to try and make the grooves not quite as sharp, but they're still sharper than the slightly more worn ones. Yeah, yeah. But then you'll get guys that still want to carry the old wedges, because if you get a week where it throws it down, having a fresh set of wedges in the bag and the ball's just going past the flag and ripping back, you've suddenly got no control over that spin. So it's kind of a little bit like
they like to change, and some guys, you can't really put a number on it. Some guys like to change a lot.
Yeah.
Some guys like fresh wedges. I know apparently for a fact, KJ Choi in the States has a new lob wedge every single week. But apparently he apparently hits 150 bunker shots a day. So he thinks he's wearing them out fairly quick. And some guys, you know, are like, okay, well, should I change now? You know, they're quite relaxed. It's usually when they feel they're losing it, they're losing a bit of grab and they're losing a bit of nip around the greens. I think, okay, maybe it's time for a fresh set. But we also try and preempt that as well. Yeah. So we try and think, okay, he's had them for quite a while now. Let's get a fresh set ready. Then they're in the bag already. He comes in. My wedges are worn out because I have a new set.
There you go.
Bang. Okay. It's part of the service really, just to go. And they're like, oh, great, thanks. Then they don't have to wait. It's all done, ready. Cool. So yeah. So then moving around this side, just a vice. And shaft extractor, that kind of stuff that we use. Yeah. One of the things we're doing on tour as well that we've done with a new forge wedge is stamping. Yeah. So just a little bit for the guys, we'll put their initials in there and that kind of stuff. It's really good fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's daunting from my point of view because you can mess up a very expensive head very quickly. So you start to write things out. Suddenly when you realise that you can spell tour only, but then you suddenly start writing out in a bit of paper next to you because you don't trust yourself to go tour only. You know, it's quite funny how that works. So yeah, we're just putting stamps in there. Yeah. You know, and what do the guys, you know, typically without naming just any names? Just like we did stuff for Pavon. He has Le Pav on the back of his hat. Yeah. So we just put Le Pav on the back of his wedges. Greg Havre, we just put GH everywhere. You know, that kind of stuff. Scattered them around. It's to have what they want. If they want maybe their kids' names on there or whatever, then we'll do that. You know. And that's kind of it really. You know, we obviously do like favourite colours, or we'll do the French flag or whatever it might be. It's just stuff like that really. Just that, like Tyrrell Hatton's a classic. He loves everything. I think we've got one of his irons up here. He has all of his irons painted purple to match his Lamborghini. So you see there he doesn't use purple colour code, but he has a paint fill there that's purple. And I think he has a number on the bottom as well. Done purple there as well. So it's his signature colour. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's not something that's overly new, but the stamping is something different now that we're doing. Yeah. Vital piece of equipment on tour is a TrackMan. Yeah. So we can't do our job without that. It's, you know, we use it whether you're being fitted on tour or whether you're being fitted at your demo day. We use that. It's massively important to get accurate data from what the ball is doing and how to then improve the club. And a lot of players will have their own TrackMans, will they? Yeah, some guys, the top end guys, I mean, they're not a cheap bit of kit, so they have their own, but we also, if the guys want to go out and do a bit of work themselves, and we're not using the TrackMan, we'll say, go do some number work yourself, and they might find maybe a little bit of a gap in between two irons, and we'll come in, and that's obviously where we use our Loft and line machine, which is unique to us. It's our own design. So it's a digital one, so obviously you've got model, colour code, the length, the loft that you're trying to aim for, the dexterity, obviously right-handed, and obviously you can work your way at the club, and so you've got your target lofts, okay, and obviously where to adjust it and target lies. Okay, so all we're doing then is, if you've seen how we operate, we obviously clamp them in the jaw, okay, which is a little bit different. So we're not using a bending bar, we clamp them in the jaw, and if I just nip around the side, I'll grab the bending bar for you. We have two bending bars. We have just damage with this. Yeah, we have a loft manipulator. It's probably a good way of describing it, and a line manipulator. So we believe that metal is better to be shocked into position. If you bend something one way, then if you moved it 2 degrees, it will then, as metal has a memory, it will move back. So we want to make sure we're getting there. So we basically shock ours whichever way we need to move it for lie angle. So obviously more upright, flatter, and we're just trying to hit two areas. We try and keep players out of the way when we're doing this, because I think they get a little bit nervous seeing their prized possessions and the stuff they earn their money with being smacked around. And obviously, what we do with our loft adjustment is, if we're going to make something stronger, we pull on them this way, and they move easy. There's plenty of leverage there. You can see that moving. Yeah, and obviously, if we're going to make it weaker, we just put it against the hip and give it a little tweak that way. Cool. You know, and so that's unique to us. The way it works is, if you view in there, and I use the switch, you'll see it lights up, and there's a camera in the end there, and that camera takes a picture of the grooves. So it takes a picture of the angle of the grooves that it's lined up. Okay, so we just find it's our best way. So obviously then when we put them on there, it's magnets, so it catches on the face to start with. We then make sure it's up against the bar and sat, so we don't want the club floating. So this is probably a bit of a trick again, is that we want to try and get it in the same position to get accurate readings. And then from there, as we slide it in, it clicks the button, and it's read that. So obviously before it was saying that it was slightly out on the lie angle, but the loft was good. So then we get good after I've tweaked it.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to the next club.
Brilliant.
So that's how we kind of roll with that one.
That's a pretty unique bit of kit, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it's made. Everything is made purely by pinging series. Obviously got the logo on there, so it's different to us, but it's just the way that we like to do it.
Yeah.
And then from here we have the final bit. Obviously up this end is a digital lie and loft measure for woods. Okay, so we use this basically to hit exact lofts.
Yeah.
So as we already have the adjustable adapter in there.
Yeah.
As we change that with each one, we always find that there's tolerance that is measurable, basically.
Yeah.
So we might have an 8.5 head in a small minus, but we want to make sure it's exactly at the loft we're trying to hit.
Yeah.
So when I get a ticket to build, we don't ever have, we might have 8.5 LS Tech head, but it might say big minus, we want to hit 7.24.
Right, okay.
Okay, well it's quite specific, but these guys are that accurate. So we will try and find the right head with the adapters in there to try and find the right loft. Basically.
And going into a week like the Open where it might be windy and they want to hit the ball lower, will they tweak the loft on their current driver or will they build a new driver?
Yeah, some guys like to have it tweaks. What's probably we're seeing more of nowadays, and also to a certain degree when guys are watching TV, you look at Tiger of the old days, he's been manoeuvring the ball all over the place, hitting low stingers. That seems to be disappearing from the game of golf, in my opinion. It seems to be more guys, if the wind's off the left, I aim left, I'll hit it, and then the wind will bring it back. If the wind's off the right, I'll aim right. The wind will hit it and bring it back. If it's into the face, it will go shorter because the wind's hitting it. If it's going downwind, I'll have to club accordingly, and so on. So that's maybe some guys, yes, they do tweak around with stuff, and we'll be coming in and we'll be tweaking lofts, especially on like maybe longer irons that we've built. We did a lot of work with the new i500 and strengthening lofts in 3 irons there to try and hit more of a flighted kind of driving iron kind of club. But really, they kind of stick with what they want. Some guys will want to change, but I would say more often than not, they are happy with their product and they accept the fact that the elements are going to cause different situations, really. And that's, once you keep variables the same, and you only have one variable that changes in the sense of wind direction or whatever it might be, temperature, altitude, then they know how to calculate that. Yeah. If you then start changing other stuff that's not familiar to them, that's something that's another variable that they've got to then try and weigh up. And that's probably a good way of them looking at it, and especially for a lot of amateur golfers is, you know, maybe we play around with stuff a little bit too much, whereas just going, okay, get fitted, this is what works, I'm happy. You know, that's it. Don't fiddle, just get better. Okay. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So then obviously the guys will get their product and go out on the range and be away 20 minutes later.
Fantastic, thank you,
There
Matt.
you
Appreciate your time. Great to have a tour around here. Some insight, guys, that we don't normally get. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, if you've got any questions, I'm not sure I'll be able to answer them, but I'll do my best on this tour van and what goes on here. Please comment below if you watch this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, as ever, enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.